Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and I am here live at Bat City Comic Professionals, which means it must be time to wind down your weekend. As always, I am your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about all of this week's indie and small press releases. It has been a busy week, and yet all of the same, kind of not. So we're going to talk about all of that, jump into it in just a minute, but first and foremost, if you're going to wind down your weekend, you've got to have wine. So tonight we are drinking Replica. This is a Cab Sav. It's from California, which I feel like most wines sold like at general places in America are usually California wines. But it's called Replica because their whole thing is that they want to like replicate traditional winemaking while also keeping the environment safe. So they don't use pesticides, they don't use additives. It's like pure fruit, and then the money goes, like portions of the proceeds go to the Xerces Society for invertebrate conservation. So I love when something goes towards a good cause. I love when it's all about helping our environment and our animals, and this is it smells delicious, so we're gonna give it a try. Ooh, there's like no sweetness in that. That's nice.
That's flavor.
Yeah, and that's their whole thing too, is like it says like they want it to be naturally sophisticated with classic fruit forward California flavor profiles, and you can definitely taste that fruit forward. You can taste all of the like just the pure wine. Like it doesn't taste like a lot of them where they add in all that excess sugar trying to just keep it preserved. This actually just tastes like what you would get if you let fruit turn into wine after time. They say like medium oaky. I love this. It has like a whole grid on the back, and I'm a sucker for grids of things. So can I turn it around? Can you? Okay. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's got like the oaky. It's got the heat. I'm gonna come in here so I can point to it. And I can't see it. Oaky, heat. I think that I can't see what that is. Floral, fruity, smoky, spicy.
Tannins.
Is it tannins? Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, you can see like it's high in tannins, high in heat, which I'm all in favor of. Low on the floral side, which I feel like is oftentimes when they end up being a little sweet. Midway on the fruity, midway on the smoky, and then spicy is high. And that's how you get me every time. You turn up the heat, turn up the spice, make it less sweet. I'm gonna be a big fan, and they did a great job with this, hitting those things. And honestly, you did a great job of describing your like where you are, because I feel like a lot of times when wines are like, oh, this one's like really dry and not as fruity, it's like, no, this is really fruity, still very, very sweet. So they actually nailed it on their description. And again, the fact that it goes to help with conservation and that they're trying to keep the environment safe while they do it. Really excited about that. And so we're going to be drinking this all night. If you are drinking something while you follow along, even if it's water, let us know. I always say I'm a big water drinker. It's actually the only thing I drink other than things like this. So I'm always excited to hear what kind of water you're drinking, if it's not just from the tap. But no matter what, let us know. Let us know you're tuning in, whether you're watching us live or later on, and I'll play back. I'm actually going to share the video so that those of you who are waiting for us to go live will know that we did. So let me get that up and running. Let's do this. Comics time. Woo! And I'm going to move this wine bottle out of the way so we can start talking about some comics. So this week, as you probably know, if you're one of our American followers, was Thanksgiving. So it was a very busy like Sunday, Wednesday, and then Saturday for us this past week, and then today. Just like with so many people coming in, it was so good to meet so many new faces. If you stopped in this week for the first time, thank you so much for coming. And to all of our longtime supporters, our Bat fam, you know, we just want to once again reiterate in honor of that spirit of giving thanks, which is what I'm happy to see that so much of this holiday has become. Like instead of it being like about honoring like that first Thanksgiving, like story that we were told 1,000 times as a kid. Like I love seeing how many people are like, I really want to focus on the thanks and give thanks to so many people in my life. And for us, that's always going to be you guys. We're so thankful for all of our Bat family, and not just for showing up and being a part of sales and things like that, but just being a part of our family in so many different ways. So thank you so much. If you're looking to come to Bat City for something fun and exciting this week on November 30th, that's Thursday night at 7, we have our creator meetup. It's just a really fun time for creators, whatever you like to create, whether that's comic books on the writing or the art side, or even the lettering side or the coloring side, or if you like to create novels, or if you like to take pictures, whatever it is that you like to be creative in whatever way, come out and talk with us and have some fun, because we're just here to just give that artistic community a place to hang out together. And so we hope that everybody will come join us 7 o'clock this Thursday. We meet monthly, so if you can't make it this week, that's totally okay. We'll have another one at the end of December. But if you can, we'd love to have you join us. And then next Saturday, December 2nd, there are 2 cool events going on. If you're in Bradenton and in the Old Manatee area, for Nona Gourmet, which is an amazing Hungarian restaurant in the Old Manatee neighborhood, is having a welcome celebration for Christmas. We are kind of kicking it off. Santa will be there, the Grinch will be there. There's going to be a ton of like kids crafts and things, and that starts as early as 9 a.m. And while you're there, you should definitely eat all of the food Vernona offers you, because they have extraordinary food. If you haven't checked them out yet, go and tell them Bat City sent you, because we love them and we love their delicious food. It is so amazing. They're actually like Hungarians making Hungarian food. It's so rich in deliciousness and flavors and culture. It's wonderful. And then Saturday night, December 2nd, I'm actually going to be hanging out with our friends from Darkside Comics in the Sarasota Christmas Parade. So if you love a good parade and you want to kick off the holidays right, Saturday, I think it starts at 7, is the Christmas night parade down in Sarasota. Check out the details on that. We will definitely share them this week so you can figure it out. But I will be down there hanging out with the Darkside crew. So thank you so much to Darkside for inviting us to be a part of that and hang out with you guys at the parade. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is a ton of awesome goodness in the store this week. So first up, if you have not been in the last month, maybe, you may not have seen the cool things that AC/DC Carts have been bringing to us. And so we are so excited. They have been making these new slab holders. I love this one because it's got the Bad City excitement on there. So if you need something to put your graded comics in to show them off and you want it to sit on your counter, these are fantastic. You can actually, they do custom, so you can tell them hey, I have a Whatnot channel or a YouTube channel and I want something with my logo on it. They can totally do that for you. That's just like they did with the Bat City one. Or if maybe you've got that Spawn 1 9.8 signed by Todd McFarlane in a newsstand edition and you just want to stare at it every day, you can put that in there. I'm not saying that because we do. I'm just saying it because that it would look amazing in there. Or maybe you're a big Punisher fan and you want to get your Punisher on. You can do that safely by just sticking a slab inside of one of the slab holders. They, like I said, can make any character you want. We've got all kinds of them. We've got some X-Men. We've got some Gambit, because I know so many of you have that 266 that you want to put in on display in your house. This is a great way to do it instead of necessarily hanging them on the wall. If you've got the counter space, the bookshelf space, you want to display them, these are so great, and we're so thankful to have AC/DC Carts. I like to call them AC/DC Carts and Crafts because they have so many cool things. This is all family run, father and son that make them, grandmother paints them. It's amazing. If you're ever around Bat City, you're probably going to meet them. They were here for Small Business Saturday selling some of these. It was crazy awesome. And as a reminder, because they've been helping us run this great drive, we are collecting donations for Toys for Tots now until about midway through the month. For those of you who have already donated, we have already filled up in the 3 days that we have been doing this. We have already filled up pretty much 2 Toys for Tots boxes and still have some overflow. So thank you to all of the amazing people who have already brought stuff. Remember that there are a lot of kids who do not get to have Christmas at all, nonetheless, in the way that so many of us had as children. So this is a great way to help the Marines gather some toys and give them out to children. So keep bringing them. We're going to keep doing it at least through December 15th when we have Old Manatee's Candlelight Christmas Stroll going on. But we're upping that just a little bit because the amazing people at ACDC Cards actually recently purchased our Hobgoblin statue and decided to make it a part of the deal. So if you come in and buy a ticket for the random chance drawing to win the Hobgoblin statue, the funds that we raise for that from all the ticket sales will actually go to buy more toys for the Toys for Tots donation. So we are so excited that we have that opportunity because somebody is going to win that Hobgoblin statue, which is incredibly amazing. It's a $200 statue, Marvel Select. It's Marvel Premiere, Marvel Select, one of those. It's amazing. It's like it matches the cover where Hobgoblin's ripping the Spider-Man. What is it, 258? 238. 238, that's what I thought. I just thought you threw up 5 fingers. 238, Spider-Man 238, where Hobgoblin's ripping the Spider-Man suit. It's the statue of that. It could be yours for as little as $1 because that's what the ticket, like, random chance drawing tickets start at. Or you could buy more tickets and still, I was telling somebody today, if you buy $20 worth of tickets, that's 30 tickets that we're giving you at that point. And you spent like 10% of the cost of the statue and you could win that statue, which is insane. And then you just gave $20 towards some other kid getting a present for Christmas, which is an incredible thing to do. So come enter that. That's also going to run through the Old Manatee Historic Christmas Candlelight Stroll on December 15th, which you should come to that as well, because all the businesses in Old Manatee are going to be doing some great stuff. You're not going to want to miss that. All right, we're going to talk about comics. I'm going to take another drink of Replica before I do, because this is actually delicious. I'll put that right there while I drink it so you know what I'm drinking. I don't want to take it. I'm like, you guys all need to see this beautiful bottle. I'm like half like tempted to just leave it there the whole time, but I know I'll like knock it over. It's just so pretty. I love it. All right, let's talk about some comics. So starting out, we've got Good Deeds issue 6 from IDW and their Dark Spaces imprint, which is Scott Snyder helping people tell these stories of the darkest places and people essentially in America. And this book is wrapping up in this issue and has taken place the entire time in St. Augustine, Florida, which is really cool for those of us who live here to kind of see that. But even if you don't, if you may not know this, but St. Augustine is technically the oldest city in America. And it is probably one of the most haunted cities in America as such. And we see over the course of this, we have been following what is a mother and daughter style relationship between this mom and daughter who moved to I'm going to put that in quotes because we don't really ever define their relationship. But they come to St. Augustine and they open up a diner. And the second they get there, all this weird stuff starts happening. Like alligators start attacking people in the diner. Like there's like just some bad people. They start investigating a murder. And a journalist who feels like she needs to come in, who's hired to come tell the story of just like a fluff piece of the centennial celebration, tricentennial celebration, whatever it is. She comes in and she's like, I want to find a good story, a real story to redeem myself from all of the things that I'm being held accountable for that weren't really supposed to be that way. And she ends up teaming up with this young girl, and they start investigating things. And as we get to this issue, we actually learn some big truths, and you've kind of seen them. I've shown some things in here that maybe I shouldn't have shown you, but they're so cool. You just have to see this amazing art because it works really well for the old vibe they're trying to bring in. And there's been this underlying supernatural like murder thing going on for all of this, like the last 5 issues, and we finally get to see what it's about, and more importantly, we get the why. And the why was so good in this issue that it took this from one of those books that I've been like, oh, good, Good Deeds is pretty good, to should I have moved Good Deeds to my pick of the week, like kind of level, because I love the explanation. And the fact that we didn't get any of this exposition until the end, that like this journalist like figures it out. Oh, this is such a great wrap up to a series. If you haven't read it yet, all 6 issues are out now. Give it a go. And then try some of these other Dark Spaces books. You know, we had Dark Spaces Wildfire, which was Hayden Sherman on art and Scott Snyder on writing, and it was beautiful. We had this, we currently have Hollywood Special, which is kind of like Silent Hill in the 1940s. Oh my gosh, there's another one and I cannot remember what it is, but they're all so good and you need to be checking them out. And there is a sampler that was part of Halloween Comic Fest. So if you are a Bat City local and you want to check out what that that Dark Spaces imprint is all about, and you need some, an easy way to do it, grab that free Halloween Comic Fest special, read all of those little samplers, and figure out which Dark Spaces is right for you. Let's just keep going in some really dark spaces. We have Tenement, issue 6 from Image, and this is a part of the Bone Orchard Mythos universe, which is Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, who you may know from Gideon Falls. And when these two work together, they create some really dark stuff. And this is no exception to that. This is about an apartment building where 10 tenants have somehow, like all their lives kind of processed. They often do in these old apartment buildings. And one day they find themselves suddenly all sucked into a parallel universe, a dark dimension. Nobody really knows, the 7 circles of hell. We're not really sure what it is exactly, still to this day, but it all stems from the fact that one tenant has gone missing, and they all seem to be like unsure if they should care, but this little boy is like leading the charge if we have to find him because he's the only one that can get us out, because nobody can leave the building. And as they try to figure out ways out, they just end up in new circles of hell. And in this particular issue, the circle that they're in, essentially, or the level that they're on, is one where they can all see their worst fears coming to life. And they're all trapped inside of these spheres that are telling them, this is what your life could have been. This is what you deserve. This is how it should have happened for you. Your worst fears are coming true. And they have to learn to fight against that. And it's dark and twisted. And we're going to get a little turn in the next issue based off of what they're kind of teasing. And I'm excited to see that little twist of exposition that we're going to get and what is actually going to happen as we make our way through this tenement building. Void Rivals, issue 6 from Image, Skybound, and the Energon universe. So, if you haven't been in a comic book store in the last couple of months, you may not have heard that Skybound, which is Robert Kirkman, who did Walking Dead and Invincible's imprint at Image, recently acquired the rights to Transformers and G.I. Joe. And Robert Kirkman's idea was, let's put them together. Let's have that Hasbro universe, Sans My Little Pony, and let's put it all together and see what happens. And so to start with, he told a story called Void Rivals, which is about 2 different planets of people who have been told that they're at war because everything about them is different and that the other one is awful and terrible. And when 2 fighter pilots end up crashing onto the same planet together and nobody comes for either one of them, they end up having to work together. And in that process, they learn there's actually not that much different between them, and that there is something big and mysterious being told to them and done to them by their ruling parties. And so these 2 try to do the right thing and like tell the ruling parties, and the ruling parties turn out to be trash. And so now they're kind of like, hey, let's start our own rebellion. Let's figure this out. Void Rivals gave us our first teaser for Transformers. Transformers gave our first teaser for G.I. Joe. The universe is getting big, and it all starts here. And this series is actually written by Robert Kirkman. So if you are a fan of Walking Dead or Invincible or Firepower, this is something you probably want to get and jump onto. And seriously, this is going to continue to be the event that everybody is talking about. I have so many people coming in that are like, I haven't bought a comic in forever, but I heard that Robert Kirkman is doing Transformers now. To be fair, Daniel Warren Johnson is doing Transformers now, and if you liked Do a Powerbomb last year, the Eisner Award-winning Do a Powerbomb, or the Beta Ray Bill series from 2 years ago, you should definitely jump onto the Transformers book. But this universe is going to get big and giant, and you're not going to want to miss it, and it will just continue to slip away from you, so jump on it now. Con and On, issue 5 from Ahoy Comics. For anybody in the industry, this is like a must read. If you work at comic conventions, if you work at comic book stores, if you just like to go to comic conventions, if you're a comic creator, I think this is just one of those books you need to read because it follows a couple of people who, when they were teenagers, they really, really, really wanted to be comic creators, and they went to a Comic-Con that was just launching, and one of them, of course, gets all of the attention and recognition and easy foot in the door, and the other one is a woman of color who gets shunned and pushed aside and has to work her way through this experience. And this goes through everything. It goes through the comic book Me Too movement. It goes through the ever-changing, like, fandoms. It goes through the rise and fall of those classic creators from the 80s and 90s, and it does it all in 5 issues, each hitting at different points in time. It is fictional in the way that it's like, none of this is based on a true story, but people in the comic industry have literally posted on like their own social medias, like, I know exactly who this book is talking about in this issue. This is the last one. This catches us up to 2022 and kind of just gets us to the point where it's like, hey, we're here now, and what goes forward in the industry on all sides, from fandom to conventions to creators, it all kind of depends on you. And there's a really great scene at the end where one of the characters who's been going to comic conventions throughout the whole thing is now taking their kids there, and they're like, is there even a point, like, to any of this? Like, if everything cycles and, you know, some days it's up and some days it's down and people don't necessarily get anything, is anything we do important? And I love it that the mom answers, like, what we do is all that's important. In the end, any life, any culture, any convention, it's just the people. And I love that sentiment because at the end of the day, it's all about these beautiful things, these beautiful interactions we all have in our stores and at our conventions and just with our friends who enjoy this medium. And it's so great to see this in this book, like, because even when things are going bad in the book, you're like, but wait, it's gonna get better. Like, you're in 1997. Like, I know that, like, this many years later, something really cool happens. Like, hold on, kids. Like, it's really cool to see. Brynmore, issue 5 from IDW and their original imprint. This is also the wrap-up of this story. This is Steve Niles, who's known for a lot of really short books and 30 Days of Night. But this is him telling a story of a guy who returns to the island he's from. It's literally named for his family. And everybody's like, we hate you. Why are you here? You're going to reinstall the curse of the Turner family. Like, we don't want that here. And he goes to live in a church that he's going to remodel to be his home. And in the process of doing that, opens up an ancient evil that starts attacking the whole town. Basically the Turner curse. And so he is now trying to solve the situation of that and figure out how to get this evil entity and its protector essentially back into the bottle that it came from, and hopefully save the day before the end of this issue, because it's only it's the last one, so he doesn't have much time. Toy, issue 4 from Keenspot with this amazing Jaws homage cover. Let me just say right now, publishers, if you make a Jaws homage cover, I'm going to want it.
He passed away.
He did. This week. Was it this week or last week?
The artist of the Jaws cover. Yeah, last week.
Last week, the artist of the Jaws poster passed away. I know Mondo did a big tribute to him on their social media when it happened. But yeah, the artist of this poster, this original, not the toy, not the toy version, but the Jaws version, which is actually like was our shower curtain up until we didn't have shower curtain type things. But this is the Toy of Toy, who is just a toy who invents things, who's absolutely adorable. And you kind of get that, what's like old comic strip, I guess is kind of the way to see it, like the hijinks that come from this. And in this one, it starts out with one of their friends challenging a little girl to a game, and she is a brat, and he's like, oh my god, this is the worst possible thing. And they're all staying at this hotel, and it's so funny because he comes out from fighting this little girl in this game, and they're like, just so you know, like, the worst thing that could possibly imagine is coming for us. We're all in danger. And he was like, oh my god, is it Emma, the little girl that I was just playing that game against? Because she is terrible. Turns out it's not. It's this little baby villain who used to be one of the kids that they babysat, who is now working with her cat to create mayhem and evil, and they have to stop this little baby. And it's just again, it's wholesome fun. It's like Archie style hijinks. It's just great, and it's one of those that you can share with a different amount of ages. It doesn't really get too far, which I know a lot of the Keenspot books were always like, it looks like it's for kids. It's really not. This one does kind of fit into the all ages category for the most part, though. And who doesn't need to take down some evil robots every once in a while? Plot Holes, issue 4 from Massive Publishing and Sean Gordon Murphy, who you may know from the Batman White Knight franchise at this point. Let's be honest, that thing has gotten massive. No pun intended. But this is the story of a guy who was pulled out of the story of his life. He was a comic book character who was a comic book writer. It was like a comic book about a comic book writer. And he is saved by a team of people that are called the Plot Holes. And the Plot Holes' job is to go into stories that are really, really bad and save them before all of those characters get destroyed by either publishers refusing to publish them or writers deleting it. And they just kind of save people's lives by making their stories better, both like in the book and out of the book. Because let's be honest, a lot of us are saved by the stories that we read. Well, in issue 1, we learned that there was a giant bookworm destroying the entire world. And over the course of the last 4 issues, we've learned who is controlling or being controlled by, whichever way you want to look at it, this bookworm. And so this team has finally devised a plan of attack on how they might be able to stop the bookworm and save the day. And this issue is that. It is the plan, it's the strategy, it's putting it all together. I love this story because we've got the woman who's the beautiful vampire who was like the villain of her story but never got the choice. We've got the monster, like the creature of furry creature who is the prince of his home, who has come from his fantasy world to be a part of this. You've got the Calvin and Hobbes character who's grown up to be super crass and terrible because he misses his childhood best friend. And there was a bad rewrite of him as a character where he was supposed to be older, but it was just bad. And then you've got your manga character who literally just goes by manga. And then you have their leader, who's Ed, who is a woman who has a very different story than all of them and has always been kind of the editor. This book is fantastic. Obviously, Sean Gordon Murphy is a great artist, is a great writer, and he is just doing a really fantastic job of telling the story. If you are a literary person who is also a fan of comic books, this is going to be one that you absolutely love and you should be picking up immediately. Hades, the Disney villains line from Dynamite, brings us issue 4. We have one more issue of this. All of these Disney villain stories have been 5-issue stories that just kind of give us a different look of one of the other adventures of these Disney villains. And this is all Hades pre his battle with Hercules, and he needs to get the golden fleece from, Jason and the Argonauts kind of story. And he is working really hard to get that by building a team, which does include Jason. And he is trying to, he's got so many people on his team now, Medusa, and the Minotaur, etc. And he's Hades. He's manipulating everybody. He's doing a terrible job. Everything goes wrong. It's awful. Nothing has gone anybody's way. And in this issue, we find out that, of course, Hades has been lying to absolutely everybody. If you don't read this book in James Wood's voice, I don't think that you've seen Hercules. Because they wrote this so perfectly well to match with the Disney Hercules movie tone. It honestly is probably so far the best of the Disney villain lineups to match the character from the actual Disney movie. So if you are a Disney fan, we've had Scar, we've had Maleficent, which was just a really beautiful book. And now we have Hades, which is about to wrap up, and it's going to lead us to the next one, which will be Cruella. So Cruella de Vil is the next one to come. I'm waiting. There's some deep character stories that I really hope we get to. Honestly and truthfully, like, don't be scared. Let's go for it, Disney. Where's the Frollo book? Where is the book that makes us talk about the most awful villain you've ever had in any story? That man is absolutely terrible, and you could say a lot with that book if you wanted to make a story about Frollo. So I'm just saying, you know, go for it. I'm going to take a drink really fast of this Replica wine because I'm about to switch numbers. That's so good. I love that spicy kick at the end. You did a great job. Great job with your spices, Replica. Good for you. All right, we are going to jump into Rumpus Room number 3 from AWA, and one of my personal favorites, Mark Russell. And as always, the man does not disappoint when he writes a story. It is so good. This is about a extremely one-percenter who, whenever he doesn't like somebody, he just puts them inside of a prison underneath his house and keeps them there, and then makes them vote on who will be the next person to go into the cage. And the cage then takes them to an undisclosed place that they never come back from. And we as readers know what it is, but the people in the prison don't. They have no idea what happens, and yet they're still playing the game. They're still voting. They're making alliances like it's Big Brother. They're like, oh, we just have to do what we have to do because otherwise we all might get killed. And it's like, but did anybody think to start a rebellion? And they're like, ooh, rebellions would be bad because, like, you know, he has all the power. And it's like, well, there's one of him and there's like 13 of you. And they're like, yeah, but that could be bad. Well, now we know, we've seen since issue 1 what bad really is. And this story has been following a detective whose sister was one of the people who has gone missing. And so she's come and she's purposely gotten herself thrown into this prison with her weapons and is like, I'm going to take this whole thing down. And none of the people support this decision because they're all very complacent in their prison life and the choices that have been made for them. And she cannot fathom why smart, intelligent people would just give up on life and let people run them until they die, and that they would vote for that. Anyway, Mark Russell wrote a new book because that is essentially what most Mark Russell books will be about, is what we as a society can do to be better and all of the things that we are falling victim to. And he does it in such a great satirical way. This man is a master of satire. In the same way that, like, we teach kids about the jungle from Upton Sinclair and, like, Paradise Lost from Milton and all of these, like, classic satires. I wish that I could be like, we're going to start teaching Mark Russell when you teach literary satire because he's doing it better than most everybody else has ever done it in all of his books, and we need to be talking about those plot points and those devices that he's doing because, oh my god, mwah, he's doing amazing. And if you have not started Rumpus Room yet, you need to. Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, issue 3 from Massive Publishing. Thank you to the team at Massive or to the creative team. I'm not really sure who paid for it, but there is a Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer billboard in Times Square over the last couple weeks, which is so cool to hear about and so cool to see. And if you have not read this book, you should be on it, because it's the story of Harriet Tubman helping to free people from the South, and not only their enslavement, but demons, vampires, possibly werewolves. We don't really know what else. And over the first couple issues, we've seen her specifically just kind of helping this one family, and we get, like, issue 1 kind of starts in the middle of the family's escape and kind of leads through, like, them meeting Harriet. Issue 2 is just Harriet's been kicking some butt, like, all over the place. It's incredible. And issue 3 finally gives us the backstory of the family. Why are they leaving? What happened? What is the situation? And kind of starts to tell us a little bit more about these demons and why and where Harriet comes from and her family. And I know there's still so much more really cool exposition. I'm trying not to show you all of this book because I want you to read it. I want you to get into this action-packed book. It's so much fun. Like, if you're picking up any book where we're fighting vampires and it's not this one, you need to grab this one and add it to your list because it's so cool. Killer Queens, Volume 2, Issue 3 from Dark Horse Comics, or the shortened version, Killer Queens 2. This is such a great book. When the first volume came out, they basically said this is, your pulp science fiction story, as gay as it could possibly be. And I love that as a description. They say it's put in the assassin is their tagline. I guess it's always been their tagline, but in the first volume, we kind of followed two people who were partners on space exploration. They, like they say, are assassins. They like to go on missions that earn them lots of money. And then when we get to this volume 2, we actually find a very deep story is starting to unfold because one of our main characters, her brother, has been slowly trying to run away, trying to run away from home because their family does not allow for people who are different in any capacity. And we find out that people in this kingdom can grow wings, but because the king can't, he's against winged creatures and is cutting off people's wings left and right just to essentially torture them and make everybody uniform and the same. And the Killer Queens, who usually, like I said, are out for money and sports, have now found themselves actually having to go back and stand up for something that's really big and important to them. I love this story. It's written by David Boer, who, if you know me, wrote Canto, which is one of my all-time favorite, if not favorite, comic book series ever made. It's so good, and it's funny. It's action-packed, it's emotional, it says something, it's so good. Just get it. And I have more volume 1s on order for those of you who are like, I didn't read volume 1. But the best thing about this is if you didn't read volume 1, that's okay, because it's just each volume is kind of a different adventure so far. So you can jump in and read volume 2 right here. You don't have to go back until you want to, which you will once you learn about the characters because they're amazing. Crusader issue 3 from Mad Cave. We only have one more issue after this, and this has been a fun mini-series for sure. This is all about a guy who is a member of the Knights Templar, and he is in the Crusades in issue 1, and he's fighting and he's doing all the things that his leaders have told him that God has told them to do. And in the middle of chasing somebody through a battle, he suddenly finds himself in another world. I love this guy because he's so mission focused that he actually does not care what world he's in. He does not care how he got there. He does not care how he gets back. He just needs to get back, and will destroy everything that he deems necessary to do so. Over the last couple issues, he has made friends with the guy that is trying to help him, and in this issue, a group of people who are the 18, who are known for protecting this realm in the same way that they believe he is protecting his own realm, have come to him and said, we stand for what's good and what's right in our world, and if you are willing to help us, we will help you figure out how to get home to yours. And he's like, I don't really have much of a choice. And they're like, can we tell you our story? And he's basically like, no, I don't care. Let's just go. And then our ultimate, minion bad guy that's been following him comes in and starts messing things up. And so we're going to see if he's able to make the right choices as time comes up over the next issue. I love this hero because you never get a main character who just doesn't really care about the situation of the story, and so it makes for a really great story in the end because he's like, yeah, I don't really know. I'm kind of apathetic towards your situation, but I care enough about mine. But at the same time, he's like, I'm supposed to stand for truth and justice. So don't tell me the story, but let's just go truth and justice all over the place. And it's kind of made for a really interesting way to tell a medieval style story. Bad Omens, Concrete Jungle, issue 3 from Sumerian. This is Sumerian Records publishing, so they obviously bring in a lot of their bands, which is what Bad Omens is, and now they have a comic. The first couple issues kind of just showed them on an adventure to protect an art gallery, to kind of steal some art, to just make art. It was all like an art thieving mission, but really they were kind of protecting the museum and what is considered their territory. In this issue, we finally get the why, which is that in this world that they live in, there is a ruling power that has basically deemed that like art can only be made by certain people. Or when we hit this issue, art can't be made at all. And if you have or will ever create art, they will kill you. You will be executed just for making art. And that includes music, includes painting, includes photography. They're going to like get rid of all of the art museums. And so everybody is like, hey, we need Bad Omens to come out and protect us. And then the ruling party makes a different rule that's like, basically, if 2/3 of the neighborhoods around you decide that your group that runs your neighborhood and protects your neighborhood is a problem, we're not going to come after them if they kill you. And so basically now everybody's coming after the Bad Omens team, and they have to figure out how to keep themselves safe while also saving everybody else, because millions of people who have created art in our world over any point in time, whether it has been put in a museum or not, are about to die, and these people are the only ones who can save them. I like it because you get song lyrics in there, so you can go back and listen to the exact songs. I like that we are getting a whole new group of people also to come in and be excited about comics, because I have so many Bad Omens fans who have come in and are like, literally just like, do you have those Bad Omens comics? And I'm like, yes, I do. Check them out. And they're like, this is so cool that my band made a comic. So I love these partnerships with musicians and this crossover that we're getting from so many publishers, you know, Vault, Sumerian, Opus. There's so many people who are making music themed comics. Z2, who has been doing it forever. So keep it up, because people are loving them. Gunbreed issue 3 from Blood Moon Comics. And this, I believe this is actually the end. There was a 4th issue solicited, but it kind of feels like we went ahead and combined those a little bit, because I feel like there's like the end moment at the end. But we'll see. We may get another one. But this is the story of a guy who ended up dead in the Old West, and basically makes a deal with the little child who is the Reaper of Souls in hell, and is like, I want to go back and save not only my child, but like other people, and like, yeah, I'll harvest some souls for you while I'm there. And so he has gone back up to the world, and he is creepy, like skull-faced, awesome looking dude, and he's just kind of fighting people. So you're kind of essentially getting like a gunslinger Spawn style story, where you've got this guy that's working for the afterlife and in the Old West to kind of bring it. And he has been fighting against these people from the different the community, all the evil people of this town. And you know, you just get some nice Old West like shootouts. You get some like, is this person gonna do it? You get to see this cool child demon do some awesome child demon stuff. It's a lot of fun. If you are an Old West fan, but you like your Old West to have some supernatural elements to it, you definitely want to check this one out for sure. And again, I think this might be the end. I know we ordered a 4. I just got an email about a 4 the other day, but it really does feel like this might have been the end. So I don't know if we're going to see a wrap up, but there's like a little like icon at the end that almost felt like at the end. I'm going to take another drink though. And we're going to switch to number 2s in just a sec. Also, I agree with Anthony's comment about how a Frollo book would be amazing and horrifying. It would be. It would be awful and the worst possible ways, and yet I want to read it so bad already. All right, we've got some number 2s for you. This is / Back to School number 2 from Image Comics, and world-renowned amazing creator Zoe Thorogood right now. She is on top of her game, and as she should be. She's so good. I'm not gonna lie, like / has been going on for, good God, forever, and this is the first / story that has really drawn me in so much. And I think it's because they made it a young adult novel, essentially, which always gets me every time. Essentially, Cassie Hack is young, she's a teenager, and she gets found by some people who have a school for people like her who can see monsters and who are monster hunters. And they come in and they train together, and then they go on these crazy missions, and they take out these slashers, which are all the bad guys. And so in this particular story, like I said, in the first issue, she gets found, she joins the school, and in issue 2, she gets to go on her first mission with the group, which is essentially to go to some killer that nobody can figure out where it's coming from. He's slashing people up, but there's no like entry or exit points on the residences or places where he's killing people. And so they find out that the only thing that is in the room is a computer, and they end up traveling through a computer portal to a digital world, and they have to hunt their way through this digital world to figure out how that connects to their killer and who their killer is. And I'm not going to show you anything else from the back of the book because I don't want to spoil that mission, but this is going to be really cool because while we're going to get that overarching story of Cassie and going to school and learning how to like express herself and become a part of this team of monster hunters, we're also going to get just almost anthology style, it seems like, missions from her. And so if you're a fan of the original Hack Slash and you want to see her just battle monsters, you're going to get that from the story. But if you also want to see an actual like growing and coming of age story within that, it exists there too. Up next, we have Genesis 2, which is from Genseven Comics, and this is issue 2 of that. The first issue, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, probably a month ago, had a guy in it who had an underwater lab, and he was taking animals and kind of like regenerating them. I don't really know how to describe it. He was like building his own version of animals that were also like his helpers and supporters in a world where everything else is drones and like real animals and things like that don't really exist. And the world's got like this terrible tech overlords who are doing an awful job. In this issue, we don't talk about that character at all. We've moved to a completely different situation where we are talking about a lab that has developed a new technology that can basically allow people to, oh my gosh, how do I say it? I'm like, basically they're creating something that is going to totally mess up everything for the bad guys and help the good guys in all the right ways. And the doctor, I'm like, human identifying. So it's technology for tracking and identifying any human via their personal thermographic body image. I was trying to find a way to say that in layman's terms, but essentially they can track humans. And so for the bad guys, if it falls into their hands, it's awful. For the good guys, it could actually help them stop some of these bad guys and stop these androids and drones that are kind of taking over everything. And there is a group of people who are coming after the scientist and her lab that have developed that. And her thing is she ends up trying to send the stuff off to somebody that she keeps mentioning that may be able to just do it. I assume it's her person from issue 1. But so we'll see that connect hopefully in issue 3, but we definitely get to see a big part of the world and what is coming and kind of set up some actual drama between the tech overlords and robot overlords and the humans that are still trying to fight in and out of the system. If you're a big sci-fi fan, this is going to be a great one for you to check out. For all my Universal Monsters fans, this is the book to be checking out right now. From Image, Skybound, Imprint, James Tynion, and Martin Simmons, the team behind Department of Truth, is the actual Universal Monsters line of comics, starting with Dracula, and this is issue 2. This book is so cool because of the fact that you get that Martin Simmons art, which gives us that weird askew, like what is happening in these panels. Which is always how Dracula is supposed to make you feel. You know, Dracula is supposed to be in your head. He's supposed to make you think, like, am I dreaming? Is this real? Like, and you kind of get all of that from Martin Simmons' art because you get to see these people who are seeing Dracula, who are envisioning him, who are having these moments, and you just wonder, like, is this real? like, I literally, a scene happens in this issue that I was like, I'm going to wait until the end of the book before I decide whether or not that actually happened. Because that could have been a dream, and it could have actually been Dracula interacting with this person. And I love that, because that's what that's what you see in vampire stories. You see these moments where you just don't know what's real and what isn't. He calls this Dracula 1.5, James Tynion being he, calls this Dracula 1.5. And it kind of is, because we're at the point where Renfield has already returned. He swears that he's been infected by Dracula. He knows that he has this new lord. And we've got Dr. Seward interrogating him, watching over him, trying to figure things out. We've got Mina and Jonathan in this story. We've got Lucy, who is, of course, obsessed with Dracula and wanting to go into it. So we're getting a lot of those classic Universal Monsters elements to it. And that's what's cool about it, is this is actually licensed by Universal. So while they're going to use, you know, so much of that is open source and you can use it no matter what at this point because it's public domain, it's really cool to have Universal go, we want to see this exactly the way it's happening and see this as something that is coming towards us for the future. So they are opening up an entire Universal Monsters like imprint at Skybound. And so I don't know who's going to be writing what comes next monster-wise. I don't know what monsters are coming next. They wanted to start with Dracula. They wanted to start with James Tynion and Martin Simmons, who literally were like, we're on a break from, like, Department of Truth and each other and, like, all of these projects. And then we're like, nope, no, we're not, because Universal Monsters have called us, and we're happy to work for this. So, it's great. You got to check it out if you're a Universal Monsters fan. That was a quick drink, so I didn't bring it all back. We're going to pop into number ones. First up, speaking of monsters, we've got Lunar Lodge, number 1 from Dark Horse. The book is not facing me, but I think that's right. Yes. I love books where somebody has that super dark secret, and this is such a great one for that. So this is all about a man and his wife. And the man has those trust issues where he's like, he finds out that his wife is supposed to be going to a conference, and he feels like he gets a phone call that's like, oh, we just wanted to confirm your hotel reservation in, like, Montana, and his wife has told him she was going to California, and he's like, well, yeah, totally, tell me all about it, let me make sure I've got my details right. And so he starts trying to question his wife indirectly about it, and she, of course, doesn't say anything and kind of plays along with the whole idea of California and everything that's going on. And so he starts investigating and then starts following her because he's a little insecure because he's got his own problems going on. And as he does that, we start to see there is a big, big secret with his wife. And there is a whole bunch of stuff that's going to unload in issue 2. And I cannot wait. This had such a good setup. I don't want to tell you too much. I want you to just come read it. Like, honestly and truthfully, I want you to go to the store and read it. If you like monster books, if you like monster movies, just grab this one because it's going to set you up for a good story. And I want to know about all of these characters, but also the ending of this one was like, let's go. Let's get me number 2. Let's do this. So check it out. Halicious, number 1 from Massive Publishing. This was a massive week, guys. All these massive books came out this week. Matt and I talked about how much this looks like a Scotty Young book. I'm going to tell you right now, it reads like one too. It reads like I Hate Fairyland in Hell, which is kind of cool. This is about a young girl who is very similar to Gert from I Hate Fairyland. And she is the daughter of the woman in charge of hell, who is the daughter of Satan. And so she's like, oh my God, Mom, like, I want a friend. Like, and the mom's like, you can't have a friend. So she starts basically stealing the dead body, like the dead people that she's supposed to usher into their role in hell. And is like, this is my new friend. And they're like, you cannot keep this person. And she's constantly trying to do that. And so they're like, basically you need to grow up and you need to do your job. And so she's like, if I do my job really well, can I have a pet? And they're like, what do you mean by pet? And she's like, a dead person who can be my best friend. And they're like, it's really a lot of responsibility. Like, I don't think you're ready for a pet. And she's like, but I need a friend, and I need something, and I'll do a really good job. So she starts doing all of her chores, essentially, of ushering people across, and then she starts looking for the perfect dead person that can be her best friend. If you've ever been that kid who was like, can I have a cat? Can I have a dog? Can I have a fish? Can I have a whatever? You're going to identify with this character, but if you're a fan of I Hate Fairyland, you're going to love the humor and the setup of this book, and I can't wait to see where this goes, and if she actually gets, like, any of her friends that she's trying so hard to get. Darkling, issue 1 from Archie Comics. It's very rare that we have Archie Comics that actually deal with the world beyond Betty, Veronica, Archie, Jughead, all of the main characters, but this one follows Darla Lang, who is a young girl who is in college and has this magic cloak that is attached to her. She can't get rid of it. She has to wear it all the time, but it also has these magical powers, and she is trying to figure out how to get rid of this cloak when she ends up making a friend who is like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but, like, all these people at our school are going missing. Do you want to help me figure out what's going on? Like, I really like investigating stuff. And so the two of them start working together, and they kind of figure out, like, that there's this mysterious entity that is creating a portal that's stealing all of these people. And meanwhile, all of the legacy kids at the school who are total jerks, are being mean girls, are just having all these slumber parties and doing all the things. And the girls are like, we're going to have to confront them about the situation and what's going on. And, we see how all of this crosses and all of these things tie together. Again, it's a one-shot. You get your whole complete story in there. And it's just nice to have, an Archie story that is no hijinks. This is just this one story. If you're a fan of more of the Sabrina storyline, you're going to get a little bit more of that. You're not getting quite Chilling Adventures. It's not that dark, but it's kind of more in line with the teen Archie stories we've been getting lately, like the all of the stories about, like, the Hex characters and things like that. Starting to see more of that coming on the teen side of Archie, and this is definitely a great one for teenagers who are a fan of Riverdale to kind of just, like, jump into some of those older Archie stories. Holy Roller #1 from Image Comics and Andy Samberg. I feel like it's really necessary to tell everybody. This is Rick Remender, who you know from Black Science, The Scumbag, a lot of X-Men books, and a whole bunch of other stuff over the course of time, writing with Andy Samberg, who you may know from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Saturday Night Live and The Lonely Island. They are writing this story all about a young kid who... his dad was an amateur bowler in their small town, and he ends up winning some prize money and some different things, and the kid is embarrassed and doesn't want anything to do with it. And the dad's like, you're going to grow up to be a bowler like me. You could go pro. Like, we can all go pro. We fast forward, and we find out that this guy has done nothing. He joined Greenpeace, got on a boat, didn't actually ever do any work for Greenpeace. Is a complete joke even there, and his boss is like, well, I know you're just trying to be on this boat to hide from all your responsibilities in your family, and while I respect that, because that's how I ended up here, your dad found you, he's sick, he's dying, you have to go home. Don't miss your opportunity to be there. So the kid returns home to, I think it's in Ohio, but he returns home to his small town only to find out that the town is more desolate than before, and the people who were the bullies when he was a kid are now in charge. His dad is dying, and there's a lot of terrible things going on. And while he just kind of wants to pack up and leave, he realizes that somebody also has to stand up against these bullies, and he is maybe the only person who could do this. This is, you've got the heart that you would expect at the end of, like, an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You got the heart that you expect Andy Samberg to bring you at the end of one of his movies, and you have all of the jokes that come up until that point. Rick Remender has a great letter at the back of the book about, like talking to Andy Samberg the first time and being like, is this really happening? Are we going to do this? Are you, like, what do you want to do? Like, how's it going to work? And the letter is hilarious because Rick Remender is also a hilarious writer. And so the two of them coming together have built something that says something through a lot of jokes. And so, and a really weird off like the wall premise. Honestly, I keep saying if you like mystery men and vigilantes and bowling and all of those things coming together, you're gonna love this book. And if you are a fan of Andy Samberg and you didn't pick this up, you need to, because you're definitely gonna feel like Andy Samberg is in it. We've got 2 picks of the week this week. The first one is, honestly, it's a pick of the week because of how cool the premise is. I'm just going to say that to start with. And that is Mortal Terror, issue 1 from Dark Horse. So we just talked about Dracula, the Universal Monster story, and I have mentioned a ton of books based on Universal Monsters classicness and all of those things. This takes that Bram Stoker's Dracula and flips it around completely. This is the story of a world where everybody is a vampire, and they are all or some kind of mythological creatures, one of those monstrous creatures. And their biggest fear is mortals. And as far as they're concerned, that's mythology. There are no mortals. People need to stop fearing mortals and the things that they're told that they can do. And we are following Jonathan Harker, and he is on a train, and the train gets attacked by somebody, and he is part of the ministry that's supposed to keep people safe, and he's like, it was mortals, we need to do something about it. Meanwhile, Lucy is another general who's being attacked by people, and they all decide that mortals are coming for them. And we've got Dr. Seward in there. We've got a king who may or may not be lying about the fact that humans used to exist, that we all used to be mortal, and that we got turned into vampires. And we've got a woman who is in prison who is telling us, like, I'm immortal. Yeah, sure, I'm mortal, but I used to be a vampire. I used to be one of you. And down the hall from her is Renfield, who is like, I just want to walk in the sun. I'm mortal. It's amazing. Like, I want to, my master has made me this way. And so you're getting all of your Dracula story in complete reverse. And I love that, because we've had vampire book after vampire book kind of hit on those classic Dracula story points. But the fact that they like flipped it and were like, what if everybody was a vampire? And what if Dracula may or may not just be a human and he can turn everybody into mortals? I love this concept. Cannot wait to see where that goes, because this is it's kind of an oversized issue. It's not quite like a full double issue, but this one and the Universal Monsters issue 2. So if you read issues 1 and 2 of James Tynion's Dracula, and then you read Mortal Terror, you get almost all of the same plot points, but in reverse, which is super cool. And then lastly, my pick of the week, if you've been into the store all this week, you've heard me say this is my book of the week by far, and it's Somna, which they call a bedtime story. And this is from Distillery. It's issue 1, and this is Becky Cloonan and Tula Lotay switching back and forth on art and writing for, I'm just going to be honest, it's a witch story, it's a smutty witch story, it's a beautiful witch story, it's all the things that I want rolled into one. And I'm going to show you whatever I can from this book on the live stream. But this is the story of a woman who is alive in the 1600s. And of course, you know that is when all the witch trials and things were happening. And she lives in one of those New England colonies. And she has been having all of these dreams that are very, very provocative. And she, of course, is not supposed to be thinking like that, not supposed to be having those experiences. And her husband is trying to essentially keep her from ever mentioning those happen, because he is the witch persecutor. He is the witch finder and the person who puts them all on trial and burns them. He is judge, jury, executioner for witches. And he cannot have his wife not being a part of that. And at the very beginning of the book, that is exactly what's happening, is he is about to go burn a witch. And she doesn't want to be a part of it. She doesn't want to go, and he's very offended that she doesn't. And she goes out to her, to a hillside. She meets her best friend, and they kind of have a conversation about what it's like to be a woman in this society, what it's like to see all these witches burned, and how they just leave them there for everybody to watch. And we also hear like this woman kind of talk about this person and the husband of the woman that's being burned as if he's like up for grabs, essentially. It's so many like Scarlet Letter, Crucible, like if you mix the two, like Scarlet Letter and the Crucible, that's kind of what you'd get. And it's almost like Becky is drawing the Crucible, and Tula is drawing this dreamy version of the Scarlet Letter backstory. And the two blend together so perfectly. I honestly, I want to show you some of Tula's stuff, but because her art is so incredible, but I'm trying to find a page that is safe for live stream. Because Tula has the provocative dreamscapes that we're reading, and they are absolutely gorgeous, but they are not for children or the internet. Let's see. I'm like, is this maybe this page? Okay. Ooh, you can see this page. So this is Tula's Dream World art, and we are still trying to figure out, like, are we dreaming? Is this real? We don't really know completely and totally yet, but it's like, even if it is a dream, it might be real. Like, you know, it's one of those, like, just because you're dreaming, nobody ever said that wasn't real kind of situations. It's gorgeous. Honestly and truthfully, Distillery, thank you for putting this in these prestige style books that you only work in, but also, like, publishers, just let Becky and Tula make books together for forever. Like, I love both of you individually, but if all you ever do is make books together from here on out, I'm sold, and I'll buy them. Whatever they are, I will buy them, because I love you both dearly as humans and creators. So let's keep making books, because good God, that book was so good. All right, so we got a lot of other books in stock. We have The Alternates, issue 3. This is from The World of Minor Threats. So if you read Patton Oswalt's Minor Threats, you need to read this as well. The Last Ronin is getting reissued right now. So if you missed those single issues, it's a great time to get them. They are not considered second prints. They are still considered reissues. So this is issue 3 out this week. Next week will be 4, and they're going to keep going until they finish all 5. We do have 1 and 2 in stock. Justice Society of America issue 7 from DC is out for all of you fans of the Justice Society. You've got all your classic characters there. Cyberpunk 2077 issue 2 from Dark Horse. If you are a fan of the cyberpunk world, you need to grab those. The Expanse TV show world is continuing in comics, much like Buffy once did. This is Dragontooth. This is issue 7 of 12 from Boom Studios. Immortal X-Men issue 17. If you are keeping up with the Fall of X, this is on your checklist. Wonder Woman issue 3 from Tom King is out. This is such an incredible story. Tom is really bringing the fire with that. Wolverine issue 39. For all of you Wolverine fans, they are about to do variants at Marvel that recreate all of the, like, classic Marvel covers, but only with Wolverine. So that's pretty cool. Titans is on issue 5 as a part of the Dawn of DC, and they are starting that Beast World crossover, and so you do have the first piece of that puzzle with Beast World Evolution. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars Battle Worlds, all of that basically to say that Secret Wars is back. This is issue 1 of that right now. Star Wars Dark Droids D-Squad issue 3 is out. Star Wars Bounty Hunters issue 40 is out, and we are celebrating those Life Day celebrations for this year. Uncanny Spider-Man issue 4. What if Nightcrawler was Spider-Man is a question you never knew you always needed an answer to. Gunslinger Spawn issue 26. Nightwing issue 108, and currently Dick Grayson is learning what it's like to be a pirate. Moon Knight City of the Dead issue 5. So if you watch the Moon Knight show, this is actually following our Scarlet Scarab character coming into the comic book universe, which is super cool. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong issue 2. Yes, okay. You know, if you want some Godzilla crossovers, here they are. He's fighting Kong, he's fighting the Justice League, or he's on their side. Who knows? You never know with Godzilla. That man changes his mind very quickly. Giant kaiju. Incredible Hulk issue 6 of the new run of Hulk. We've got Hot Girl issue 5, and this is that Derek Chew cover that I know a lot of people always are loving, these Derek Chew Hot Girl covers. I'm just excited to have a Hot Girl story to talk about. Green Lantern War Journal issue 3. There are like 3 Green Lantern titles right now, I think. There's regular Green Lantern War Journal, and then there is actually just an Alan Scott Green Lantern title. Speaking of, Jay Garrick's The Flash is on issue 2 this week. So we are bringing those JSA characters back with their own titles right now within that Donham DC. Captain Marvel's new series, issue 2. I love her. If you didn't go see the Marvels, do yourself a favor and go see it. That movie was fantastic. Catwoman. It's just so funny to come right after Captain Marvel. Catwoman issue 59. I love these murder mystery covers that they've been doing, like all these Agatha Christie covers. They're so wonderful. Pulp comics, whatever you want to call them. They all look like that. And speaking of cool covers, Batman Superman World's Finest issue 21 and one of those McFarlane action figure variants. I love it because they just make the most classic and ridiculous scenes with the toys, and who doesn't love that? Avengers Incorporated issue 3 out this week. This week, Wednesday was Local Comic Shop Day, which is put on by Comics Pro, which is the retail trade organization for all comic book stores. We love them and are so thankful to be a part of Comics Pro. And every year they do an initiative called Local Comic Shop Day, which is a point to try to like drive people to come out and say, you know, I love my local comic shop. What's something cool that I can do at my local comic shop every day, but specifically this day? It's this so far the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and every year there are exclusive variants just for that local comic shop day. I have a couple left, so I wanted to bring those to you to see, which includes Something Is Killing the Children 34 in a foil version. It also has a foil version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rangers Academy, which is a super cool foil. I love those characters. Guys, I'm not even a really big Power Rangers fan, but I'm kind of obsessed with the characters in Rangers Academy. Berserker Fallen Empire, which is like our new Berserker title, has this incredible Jenny Frison cover. I mean, I know. Which way is the best way to show you? Just keep doing.
There you go.
Oh my god. I love this cover. Jenny Frison, stop it. You're so good. And this is beautiful. Like, for all you, like, Keanu Reeves fans, you should just frame that on your wall. Zawa, issue 1, Scotty Young cover got a foil variant as well. And if you didn't read this, Zawa was one of my picks, I believe. But I just love Zawa. It was such a good story. If you haven't read it yet and you loved Win, you need to get it. There was also a which I think I still have, the Universal Monsters, I guess I should have grabbed the rest of them, Universal Monsters Dracula 1 and 2 Local Comic Shop Day variants, and a special commemorative edition of Black Science has a special cover as they relaunch that in honor of the like anniversary editions of the trade paperbacks that are coming out. And speaking of trade paperbacks, we've got a, oh my god, but how many years is this? 20th anniversary? It's the Masters edition of Grendel, and what's really cool about this is Matt Wagner actually, when he was finished with Grendel, started doing like all these extra pieces of it, and then it finally for the first time is combined right here. So there are 120 new pages in this. So for those of you who like read Grendel and loved it and are like, I have everything Grendel, guess what? No, you don't, because this has 120 new pages in it, which is incredible. We also have Little Rock Files, which is from Fair Square Comics and is a spinoff of the Noir's New Black anthology, which if you haven't read that, you should definitely grab that as well. This is all about, it's 1988, and there is a murder that happens in Little Rock, and this is going to tell us that story. And then lastly, we have the hardcover of Riddler. I don't order a lot of hardcover Big 2 books for the store. I'm not going to lie. So, like Marvel and DC, that's your Big 2 if you didn't know. I don't order too many of the hardcovers unless people ask for it. This book is one of my most requested DC books, though, over the last year. Because Paul Dano, who played the Riddler, actually wrote this himself. And when we talk about, like, oh, this is, like, celebrity person writing this book, we're always like, oh, it's celebrity person and comic writer that we all love. Nope, this is Paul Dano wrote a comic, and it is fantastic. And this is the whole thing. This is issues 1 through 6 of his story that takes that Riddler that's so different that he played from the Matt Reeves Batman story, the one starring Rob Pattinson, and Paul Dano, mostly Paul Dano, I feel like, but it takes that Riddler that he played and gives it a story and puts it into this comic format that's just absolutely incredible. So if you did not read this yet, It's in hardcover now, which means you probably still have 6 months to a year before you get a trade paperback version, because this just came out right now. There are single issues. There are hardcovers. Those are your only options. Do not wait. Read it now. It is so good. That's what's out. It's been one of those weeks where I was like, this is a great comic. This is a great comic. They're all great comics. Guys, comics are so good right now. Like, read them. They're amazing. There's so many options. You like romance, you like horror, you like sci-fi, you like superheroes. It doesn't matter what you like. There's something for everybody. Come into a comic book store. A comic book store. They're all the genres that you could possibly love. They're all here. You're going to find the book that's right for you, whether it's a single issue, a trade paperback collection, or an original graphic novel, or a manga. There is something for you no matter your age, no matter your favorite genre, no matter your style of storytelling. And we're happy to help you find it, and so is your local comic shop. So wherever you live, go to a comic shop, find that perfect book for you, and enjoy it, because it is a great time to be a comic reader. And we have wind down our weekend tonight with Replica Wine. We've got Creator Meetup this Thursday night, the 30th at 7 p.m. Come hang out with us, all of you local creators. We can't wait to meet you, talk to you, have some fun. Until then, we'll see you on Wednesday for a new comic book day, and happy reading, everyone.